What were your feelings when you were going through the handshake line after the game?
It's bittersweet. The whole thing's bittersweet, to be honest with you. The whole last few weeks. Yeah, it's just bittersweet, I guess, because I know it's the right decision for me, where I'm at, what I want to do.
How different was coming home, walking in that door, knowing it's kind of the first day of the rest of your life?
That's the exciting part about it. Is it's more leaving the rink that's hard. Once I get out of the rink, life is life. People move on. But there were some moments after the game. Obviously, the plane ride was felt a little long, but at that point, you're tired, you're having fun. But what I'm moving into is more exciting than it's the bitter part is leaving. The sweet part is going forward.
What are you moving into? What's next?
Well, I got a plane ride to Pittsburgh for a hockey tournament on Wednesday, so probably a lot of that over the next couple months, and then summer, and then we're back here. So live life and see what it's like.
But like house husband, or you want to stay in the game? You want to develop, coach?
I don't want to do anything like that right away. I want to get away from the game a little bit. Spend time, like I said, with my family, just being a dad, really. I'm sure I'll still be around. Like, it's hard not to be around the rink when you got 4 kids who play hockey. So, but I kind of just let it unfold how it unfolds. There's not like some roadmap. I'm gonna do this, and then I want to be here. I'm literally just, today is the first time I've actually had the opportunity to think about these things. So I'll just take my time with it, really.
Did any of the kids say anything when you walked in the door yesterday or this morning? Because they're always...
No, they were just on their video games, so it's fine.
Ronnie, what do you expect, usually in the summer you're prepping, getting ready for next season, all the different type of workouts and things. What do you expect your workouts are going to be, and what kind of regimen you try to keep up physically and mentally, for all that matters?
I think physically it'll be easy for me. I actually like working out. Now I just will do things that are more fun than what I've been doing. I think that will be the weird part for me is mentally is like when I get back. Just not getting on the ice, that normal routine of getting your body ready to skate again. Part of me is looking forward to it because I've always come in back real good shape, and then you start skating and you feel like shit. So now I can start to work out, feel good, and just continue hopefully to feel good and not have to do the skating part, which is always the hardest part, the last piece of the puzzle every summer. So see how it goes.
You mentioned at your press conference that you like where the team is at in terms of what you're handing over. When you think about the series against Edmonton, what did you like about that series that kind of gives you hope for this team going forward?
It's probably not anything on the actual hockey, like on the ice. It's more the mentality of a team that I think is what's special about special teams. Is at least the teams I've been a part of, like, we had good teams from a hockey standpoint, but we had elite teams from a mental standpoint and how we approach the game and and I think we showed a lot of positive attributes as a group that lend itself to getting the pieces in place. If you have that mentality, I still think it's the hardest thing to get for teams. Why do some teams figure out ways to win and other teams don't? It's just their mentality, and their group mentality is important. Also, individual mentality kind of permeates through the group. And I think we showed a lot of, we got our kick back-to-back games, and a lot of people were doubting. We just came with a business-like attitude and pushed it to 7 games, fell short, but I remember my first playoff experience is just learning how to do it, and there's a lot of guys in there that had no experience. I mean, the first game I think we had the least amount of games experience-wise in the whole playoffs for all the teams there. So to play get a 7-game series in for those guys is good, and also just realizing how hard it is just to win
Dustin, who's
one
playing?
game.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Keep going.
No, it's fine.
Who's playing in the tournament in Pittsburgh?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, okay.
Yeah.
And following up on Dennis's question about the handshake line, you had a nice moment with Duncan Keith and even Mike Smith. I was wondering.
I mean, both of them kind of really the same thing, is just played a lot of hockey against both those guys. Running not only just a lot of hockey, but a lot of important hockey, I think, is the key part of that. It's one thing to, there's lots of players I've played lots of hockey against, but not in high stress moments. Playoffs are just a different animal. I think it's probably true for every sport, every good rivalry. You need somebody there. It's not always the cakewalks you don't remember. It's getting your asses kicked and then coming back and how you're responding both ways. And both those guys I battle a lot against, so it's just saying our goodbyes.
Back to those younger players that didn't have experience, was there anybody that you pulled aside and maybe on the plane ride home or something and gave a few words to?
I've talked to a lot of the young guys just throughout quite honestly, the whole year. But Grundy was sitting next to me in the room, and I've always had a soft spot for Grundy just because
Similarities?
he's Tonka truck, so. And he played really well. I was happy for him that he got put into a spot and he performed how I knew he would. And I think he showed a lot of people that he's ready to take that next step for him. But there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of guys on the back end that just stepped into quite honestly, get us into the playoffs and played well. So it's just, I'm just appreciative of all those young guys, because a couple years ago our team wasn't a lot of fun, and this year was a lot of fun.
18 seasons, finger surgeries, shoulder, rib. How are you feeling physically walking away from the game?
I mean, that weighed in on part of my decision, is I didn't want to be walking away just completely broke. And I've done a really good job physically off the ice, preparing all that stuff, but a lot of games and I'm mostly healthy. So, I mean, I have no major issues. So that's, especially considering the way I played, has been probably pretty remarkable when I think about it. Just all the stuff I've gone through, is no major problems. So.
Is there a moment that it started being fun again?
I remember we had two 5-game losing streaks early in the year. And I said something after the second one. I said, this can't happen again if we want to be in the playoffs. And like from that point on, we started winning games, finding ways to, maybe not even winning games, just finding games not to, quite honestly, we found for years previous, we found ways to just lose games. This team, I think with the young guys coming up and having a little bit more experience, and obviously we added some players this year that really helped us through trades and signings. But I want to say that, I can't remember that second, it might have been early December, but we went on that long road trip where we got beat up by COVID and we found ways to win games. I remember going into Christmas break, I'm like, our team is there. We just have to keep pushing. And then I ended up getting COVID. And I remember coming back out of it, and it's January-ish. And we were just collecting points, which is always a good sign, because I've done it the other way where it's like you just see points slipping away. The season's not over, but you can do the math pretty early. So when we started collecting points, it started becoming fun. Winning's fun. Winning cures everything at this level. And then I was nervous again. So it was probably around January where I thought, like, we have the team to do it, to get to the playoffs. And it was a battle. And then I did my finger thing, and then I was nervous if I was ever going to play again, just because at the time, how terrible it was. But the team was what I thought it was.
You stepped forward in so many ways this year, got to know a lot of new faces. What are you looking forward to seeing out of the team, from a different angle, but, moving forward here? Whether it's, player development or new things that you see coming along, what are you looking forward to?
For me, watching from afar, I'm excited. Or my hope is that someone that I've had it played with here in the last couple of years is maybe I've rubbed off on them or helped them out in a way that they can come into next year without me there and bring whatever it is that I brought in some way, some capacity. And I think I've talked to a lot of the young guys, and I've played with a lot of the older guys, even some of the middle range guys I've played with for 4 or 5 years. So I'm excited to see what the young guys do and who. I mean, there was a time when I was that young guy, and it was like I had a few people that helped me, and then you got to step into those roles. So I'm excited to see who's going to do it, because it has to be somebody. They're not gonna. I'm not sure what they're doing from a roster standpoint, but that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most when I step out, is who's gonna come in and figure out how to do it, because at this level, that's all it comes down to for an individual making it. I know I had a lot of help along the way, but I had a little bit of an opportunity to just squeeze your way in and then push your way in eventually. And a lot of good young players on my team this year that I'm excited for them to have that opportunity. With me being gone, I just feel like it's a great opportunity for those young guys. So it's exciting to see them battle for it, because there's only so many spots. Same thing as every year. It's just, I guess, one spot's open.
You'd be on the phone with Rob, like, telling him what to do?
Probably not. No, I don't envy that position.
I know, like, the most touching thing for us and all this fanfare around your retirement is your relationship with Cope, and I just, wanted to get kind of your, I don't want to say closing thoughts. Obviously, your relationship will be a for life thing, but just what it meant to be able to go through your careers together, grow up together, and form a relationship you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely special with him. I've been around from day one with him. I remember him coming in and pretty much being our best player in training camp and deciding not to stay. So his first year he went back. I remember thinking, like, this guy's better than all the players we have. And he went back and played in Sweden or wherever he played. It's just a lot of good memories, and I'm a lot more memories to make, I'm sure. But part of me feels sad that I'm leaving him in a way, or leaving them all, really. Especially like me, Quickie, Drew, we've all won together, and that's you have a different bond with those guys, just how it works. That's very bittersweet for me, is just leaving, because it's like, I know how it felt for me every time anybody from those Stanley Cup teams left, whether it was Colin Fraser or just every single player. You're like, we won with that guy. Like, it hurts. And then now there's 3, and then there's 2, and then eventually there's going to be just one guy. I guess that's the idea. Hopefully they can redo all that again, and then they start the whole process all over again, and in 20 years there's one guy left, and that's the idea, is to hopefully do it again. So, but Kopi in particular, he's my brother, and I love him, and I mean, it's pretty straightforward with me and him.
Brownie, during the press conference, you talked about what a whirlwind that week was. I'm just curious, when you think back, was there anybody that was totally random or out of the blue that contacted you, called you, sent you a text to talk about, you retiring?
I laughed just because there was a few texts that people put their name in the text, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. So that's why I laugh when you say, are there some people that reached out that surprised you? Yes. There are some people that have reached out, like just players that I've played with. And I just appreciated it, just getting a text from some of the guys. But like I said, there was some text that I just got, and literally the names in the text, I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. I'm sure I have met him. It's just, at that point, it was quite overwhelming. Much like yesterday, once I got on the plane, I turned my phone off for the whole day, so I'm waking up to a lot of messages today, but I'll get through them. But it's been a good few weeks, I guess.
Since you retired, have you thought about your legacy? Like two-time American Stanley Cup champion, 18 years here, your jersey's going to get retired. Just the enormity of your entire career. You reflected on that?
I have moments when you think about it throughout the day, or when you're talking with people, or when you get asked questions directly. But it's just not something I really think about a whole lot. I think it's probably more something I'll think about when things have really settled down and I'm kind of out of physicals and maybe out of LA in the summertime, and seeing people I don't see throughout the year. I'm sure we'll reminisce a lot about it, but yeah, it's just not something I don't really think about that much.
And just so we're clear, August comes, you're not going to do like Tom Brady and say, Rob,
No,
one more year?
I think hard on my decisions, but I stick with them, so that's not a possibility. Just not my style, so yeah, it's kind of, I was trying to, it's hard to get everything out over the last, 'cause it was just such a, quite honestly, I didn't want to do any of it, so my wife convinced me.
What's your
So you
favorite?
can-
Sorry. What's your favorite moment as an LA King been?
Probably the last 3 minutes on the bench in 2012. I mean, we were kicking them there. The game was over, but it was just 20 guys or 15 guys if you count the 6 on the ice or whatever it is. There was that moment where dreams are coming true for a lot of people, but that group of 20 guys on the bench, we had about 3 or 4 minutes where it was just our dreams were coming true for the first time as a group. And it was a weird situation because you always picture this Game 7 overtime heroics, and it was like, no, it was 6-1, and it was the best 3-4 minutes of a game I've ever played, because it was 20 guys and the trainers and the coaches all on the bench. Daryl's telling us to calm down, the game's not over, it's 5-1.
I'm surprised at that.
And then I think Greener scored with like a minute left, and then he was like, okay, now you guys can celebrate. And then it was just that little stretch moment, slow time. I mean, the time was going quick, but it was, I don't know, that was special.
All right, folks.
Thanks, guys.